Amid the polished floors and disciplined rows of Harlan's dojo, most eyes never noticed him. A shadow behind the dumpsters, a quiet presence at the window. Elliot Ray moved among discarded cans while others collected trophies. His hands, once skilled and celebrated, now gripped bent aluminum instead of gold medals. The students teased, calling him Sensei Boom, unaware that beneath the worn coat beat the heart of a true master, one whose knowledge of martial arts could eclipse theirs 100 times over. When Harlan finally stepped forward and invited him in, no one anticipated that this weathered man would take the mat and not only break their records, but also shatter every assumption they held about strength, skill, and human value. Before we dive deeper, tell me, where are you watching from? And if these stories inspire you, make sure to subscribe. Sunlight poured across the dojo's glossy wooden floor, highlighting 20 children moving in seamless coordination. Their white uniforms glimmered under the overhead lights, a stark contrast against the deep blue mats beneath bare feet. Parents lingered around the edges, some scrolling through phones, others smiling proudly as their children executed their forms. "Keep your back straight, Michael. Eyes forward, Emma," called Mr. Harlan, a broad-shouldered man with salt and pepper hair and deep laugh lines. He walked between the lines of students, adjusting stances, demonstrating movements with calm authority. His voice carried decades of teaching, commanding respect rather than fear. At the back, Sarah Miller leaned toward a friend, whispering with unease, "Have you seen him again? That man outside?" Jennifer Adams frowned, nodding. "Third time this week. Just sleeping behind the dumpsters. Tom wants to call the police, but Harlan doesn't seem concerned." Sarah's voice dipped lower. "I think he watches the classes sometimes. Just stands there. Gives me the creeps." "Mom, did you see my kick?" Leo ran up to Jennifer, flushed with pride and effort. "Amazing, sweetie," she said, momentarily forgetting the conversation. "Now finish your class." As Leo darted back, Jennifer's eyes drifted toward the side window, catching a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure observing from the shadows. Behind the building, Elliot Ray folded the threadbare blanket that had been his bed for nights past. At 48, his face carried the wear of too many outdoor nights. Yet his eyes remained alert, sharp. His beard, though untrimmed, was clean, and his posture suggested dignity. Shoulders squared, head held high. He packed his few possessions carefully: a dog-eared book, a water bottle, a small first aid kit, a faded photograph protected in plastic. The distant sound of counting children drifted through the air. 1, 2, 3, 4. A faint smile touched his lips. He zipped the backpack and collected aluminum cans, each motion deliberate, efficient, almost meditative. Suddenly, the dojo's back door swung open and Elliot straightened, prepared to apologize or retreat. Out stepped Leo, curiosity painted on his freckled face. "Hi, are you collecting those?" Elliot nodded once. "Yes, recycling." "Oh," Leo said softly, surprised by the calm, gentle tone. "My mom says you sometimes sleep out here." "Sometimes," Elliot replied without defensiveness. "It's quiet." Leo glanced toward the door, then offered a slightly squashed sandwich from his pocket. "This is extra. Mom always packs too." Elliot studied the boy's expression for a moment, then accepted it carefully. "Thank you," he said, bowing slightly, a small, formal gesture. Leo's face lit with surprise. A sharp voice interrupted. "Leo, inside now!" Travis Wilson, the dojo's fiercest teen, blocked the doorway with arms crossed. "Comin', Travis," Leo whispered, then hurried inside. Travis lingered, glaring at Elliot. "You can't just hang around, freaking people out." Elliot said nothing, continuing his work. "What? You think karate can be learned through a window? Sensei Boom thinks he'll be a black belt," Travis sneered, calling back into the dojo. Laughter followed. Elliot remained still, unreadable, before picking up his bags and moving aside. Inside, the advanced class continued. Teenagers sparred under Harlan's watchful eye, corrections given with practiced care. Through the window, Elliot noticed a young girl struggling with a kata turn. Without thinking, he shifted his stance, mimicking the correct movement. She glanced at him, hesitation melting into action. Perfect execution. A small, surprised wave, then back to practice. Harlan watched quietly from the corner, observing the interaction with measured thought. As evening fell, Elliot sat behind the building, sandwich in hand, reading under the security light. The door opened. He tensed. Instead of confrontation, Harlan appeared holding 2 water bottles. "Mind if I join?" Elliot shook his head. Harlan sat respectfully nearby, offering a bottle. "James Harlan, this is my dojo." "Elliot," he replied, accepting with a nod. "Sorry for loitering. I'll move on if it causes trouble." Harlan studied him, noting posture, clarity, and calmness. "Good advice on Caitlin's pivot earlier," he observed. Elliot looked down. "Force of habit. I didn't mean to interfere. You've trained before." Harlan nodded. "You're welcome to watch inside. Might be more comfortable." Surprise flickered across Elliot's face, controlled. "That's generous, but I doubt everyone would agree." Harlan smiled. "Probably not. Offer stands. And your spot behind the building? Out of the rain. No one bothers you there." Elliot watched him leave. Gratitude mingled with weariness in his expression, as if kindness were unfamiliar. Over the following days, whispers about the mysterious dojo watcher spread among parents and students. Elliot maintained his routine. Cans, reading, watching from a distance. Some days he vanished, returning later. "Did you hear about the homeless guy?" Michael asked during a water break. "My dad says he could be dangerous." "Not dangerous," Leo defended. "Quiet, that's all." Another questioned, "Then why hide and watch?" Travis snorted nearby. "Creep. Or thinks he's mastering ninja moves." He swayed comically. "Master of trash foo." The kids laughed, all but Leo uneasy. Harlan nearby observed silently, thoughtful. The girl Elliot had guided through her kata approached cautiously, her mother hovering nearby with anxious eyes. "Thank you for helping me get it right," she said quickly, breathless with excitement. Before he could respond, she thrust a small paper bag toward him and hurried back to her mother. Inside, he discovered an apple, a granola bar, and a neatly folded note. "Thank you, Sensei." The words stirred something deep within him, a flicker of memory, a long-buried feeling resurfacing. From the dojo doorway, Mr. Harlan watched silently, a thoughtful expression forming, as if a new idea had begun to take shape. Nearby, Travis could barely contain his amusement. "Dude, check this out," he laughed, holding his phone for his friends at the dojo entrance to see. On screen was a video of Elliot, captured from a distance, gathering cans and peering through the window. The caption read, "Master of Trash. Fu, the dojo stalker." Comments poured in, some laughing, others questioning the cruelty of mocking someone down on their luck. "That's wrong, Travis," Miguel objected, his tone serious. "Take it down." Travis scoffed. "Why? It's hilarious. He's been lurking for weeks. If he doesn't want attention, he can go somewhere else." Their argument ended abruptly as Mr. Harlan called everyone inside for warm-ups. Travis shoved his phone into his pocket, ignoring Leo's uneasy glance from nearby. Later, Elliot returned to his familiar spot behind the building. The video had traveled quickly. Students pointed and whispered as they passed. If he noticed, he gave no sign. He remained seated, composed, a quiet dignity in every movement. A newspaper lay across, his lap shielding him from the afternoon sun. Mr. Harlan stepped out, placing a bottle of water and a flyer beside Elliot. "Open mat tomorrow," he said, tapping the paper. "Anyone can come in and practice. No formal class. Elliot glanced at the flyer, fingers not yet touching it. I appreciate the thought, Mr. Harlan. Ever feel like showing them what you know? Harlan's eyes gleamed with curiosity. A flicker of amusement crossed Elliot's face. I doubt they're ready for that. You might be surprised, Harlan countered calmly. Sometimes the best teaching comes from unexpected places. Elliot studied the flyer, folding it carefully and slipping it into his book, considering the offer. When open mat day arrived, the dojo buzzed with more energy than usual. Curiosity about the mysterious watcher had drawn extra spectators. Parents clustered in small groups while students moved freely across the mat, some practicing katas, others sparring gently, and the youngest tumbling and giggling. Mr. Harlan observed attentively, his gaze drifting repeatedly toward the doorway, as if anticipating someone's arrival. Travis, showing off with exaggerated spinning kicks to impress a small crowd, noticed Elliot quietly stepping inside. The man paused. At the doorway, clad in worn jeans and a faded jacket, looking hesitant yet resolute, a ripple of whispers swept through the nearest students and quickly spread. "Well, look who it is," Travis called theatrically, bowing with mock grandeur. "The great master has arrived." Snickers bounced across the room, some parents frowning, others uneasy. "You've been watching long enough," Travis continued, preening for his audience. "Come on, show us something. Give us a taste." Elliot remained still, neutral. "I'm just observing. Mr. Harlan invited me." Travis glanced for peer approval. "Well, since you're our guest, maybe demonstrate your incredible trash can technique." Laughter erupted, louder this time. One parent muttered audibly, "Why is he even here?" Elliot's jaw tightened subtly, but he made no move to confront or flee. His eyes found Mr. Harlan's across the room, a silent exchange passing between them. Before Harlan could intervene, Leo squeezed through the crowd and stood between Travis and Elliot. "Stop it," the boy's voice trembled slightly. "He's not hurting anyone. He helped Caitlin with her kata." Travis laughed dismissively. "Oh, we've got a defender." "Relax, kid. We're just having fun." "It's not fun. It's mean," Leo insisted, fists clenched. The room fell into uneasy silence. Mr. Harlan stepped forward, commanding attention effortlessly. "That's enough, Travis," he said firmly, then turned gently toward Elliot. "Actually, I hoped you might show us something today, just a kata. No sparring." Murmurs rippled through the room. Travis looked stunned, then smug, expecting humiliation. Elliot scanned the room, skeptical parents, curious children, mocking teenagers, then settled his gaze on Leo, whose eyes shone with trust. "Just one," he said quietly. Moving to the mat's center, he removed his worn shoes, placing them neatly aside. Standing in socks, he closed his eyes for a moment, centering himself. A few suppressed snickers broke the quiet, quickly fading as he began to move. The transformation was immediate. His body, ordinary moments before, now flowed with exquisite precision. Blocks, strikes, and turns unfolded in perfect rhythm, decades of practice evident in every motion. His worn clothes vanished into irrelevance as the kata, complex, elegant, far beyond the student's level, took form. Silence enveloped the dojo. Every eye tracked Elliot through the sequence, his breathing steady, focus absolute. The kata ended with a decisive strike, air vibrating with its power, followed by flawless stillness. For a few moments, no one moved or spoke. Then, slowly, Leo clapped, his face radiant with validation. Others joined tentatively, then with genuine admiration. "That was Goju Shiho," Mr. Harlan finally said, breaking the silence, naming one of the most advanced katas. 54 steps of the wooden man. Few masters perform it this well. Parents whispered urgently to each other, astonishment etched on their faces. Travis stood slack-jawed, mockery evaporated. When he spoke, it was grudging respect. That was impressive. But kata is just choreography. How about some sparring? The challenge lingered in the air. Mr. Harlan opened his mouth, but Elliot spoke first. "Thank you for allowing me to share," he said simply, bowing to the room, then specifically to Travis. Without another word, he retrieved his shoes, slipped them on, and moved toward the door. "Wait, you're leaving?" Travis called, a mix of relief and disappointment. "What? Afraid to spar?" Elliot paused, glancing back with a smile, the first anyone had truly seen. Calm, confident, unshakable. Small, quiet, but loaded with meaning, Elliot's smile reached his eyes. A good martial artist knows when to engage and when to step back, he said softly. Another day, perhaps. And with that, he was gone, leaving the dojo buzzing with speculation. Travis remained on the mat, challenge unanswered, pride bruised, the echoes of defeat settling over him. The following morning, Mr. Harlan arrived early to find Elliot sitting calmly on the front steps, hands resting on his knees. "I appreciate what you did yesterday," Elliot said without preamble. "But I shouldn't have come. It stirred more chaos than good." Harlan unlocked the door slowly, choosing his words carefully. "I disagree. The children and their parents needed their assumptions questioned, and I did too." He opened the door wider, gesturing Elliot inside. After a brief pause, Elliot followed. Alone in the office, Harlan regarded him steadily. "Elliot M. Ray," he began, voice even. "National Karate Champion 2004 and 2005, former Marine. You vanished from the competition circuit in 2006. Elliot's expression remained calm, though a spark flickered behind his eyes. "You've been digging into my past." "Of course," Harlan replied. "A man of your skill appearing behind my dojo? I'd be a fool not to look." He leaned against his desk. "What I can't figure out, how a champion ends up homeless." Elliot's tone was even, practiced. "Life doesn't always follow your plan." There was no bitterness, only the quiet finality of experience. Harlan nodded, giving him space. "I won't pry, but I'd like to make you an offer. Help teach my beginner classes. In return, meals, a clean place to sleep in the back room, shower, fridge. Not luxury, but comfortable." Elliot's brow lifted, genuine confusion piercing his composed exterior. "You don't know me. Not all your clients will approve." Harlan's lips curved in a small smile. "That kata yesterday, it wasn't just technically perfect. It had soul. That's rare. And as for my clients, let me worry about them. Some will complain, some will understand, some will see opportunity." Elliot looked away, conflict evident. "I haven't taught in a long time." "Like riding a bike," Harlan replied lightly, hopefully without the falling part. A reluctant smile tugged at Elliot's mouth. "I'll consider it." Before Harlan could respond, the front door chimed. "Mom, can I show you the move Elliot did yesterday, please?" Leo's voice rang with excitement. Elliot and Harlan exchanged a glance. "Think about it," Harlan said quietly. "But not too long. That boy already believes in you. Others will follow." As they stepped out to greet Leo and his mother, neither noticed. Travis's father watching from the front window, his expression dark, phone in hand, typing a message to other parents. The whispers that had started yesterday were about to explode. By afternoon, opinion in the parent community split sharply. Some thrilled at the possibility of a former champion teaching their children, others disturbed by a homeless man entering. A carefully curated space. Travis listened as his father spoke on the phone. "I'm telling you, Mark, it's completely inappropriate. I don't care if he was a champion 20 years ago. The man's been living behind dumpsters. Who knows what issues he has? And Harlan just brings him in. No consultation. Travis thought of the kata he had witnessed, skill and focus undeniable. Despite himself, he was impressed and unsettled. His father hung up, satisfied. Well, that's that. Mark's contacting the local paper. If Harlan wants this public, so will we. Travis hesitated. Dad, trust me, his father interrupted. People like that need help, yes. But not around children, not teaching our kids. There are proper channels for this. Travis nodded, but lingered in doubt. He lifted his phone, thumb hovering over the delete button on the Master of Trash Food post, then set it down without action, the mocking image still glowing on his screen. Morning sunlight filtered through the blinds in Harlan's office. He sat hunched over his computer, coffee cooling at his side. The screen revealed a life in fragments: tournament results, military commendations, magazine features, Elliot M. Ray, 3 consecutive national championships, Marine service, hailed as a top prospect, and then nothing. After 2006, he simply disappeared. Harlan leaned back, rubbing his eyes. The man who had been gathering cans behind a dumpster, now sleeping on his dojo mat, was far more than a fallen champion. A story ran deeper than he could have guessed. The front door chimed. Elliot stepped in, wearing borrowed clothes, a plain gray t-shirt and black sweatpants from the dojo's Lost and Found. Simple attire, yet something about him had shifted. Freshly shaved, damp hair from a shower, a look 10 years younger than the man who had stunned everyone the day before. "Morning," Harlan said, gesturing to the coffee. "Help yourself." Elliot nodded, precise, economical movements betraying the same discipline that had shaped his kata. "Sleep okay?" Harlan asked. "Better than I have in months," Elliot admitted softly, his voice gentle despite the weathered frame. "Thank you," he offered. Harlan waved it away. "I've been looking into your history," he said candidly. "Exceptional. Why stop? You could have run a dojo of your own." Elliot's expression closed subtly, a door quietly shutting. "Life doesn't always bow to your plans," he said, echoing earlier words, a mantra now. Harlan waited, letting silence coax further. Elliot's gaze fell to his coffee. "My wife, Amara, she got sick in 2006, cancer. Insurance covered some, but not enough. Experimental treatments, specialty meds. It piled up. I competed, taught, worked security, slept maybe 3 hours a night, still not enough." His voice gained momentum, raw from years of suppressed grief. "We sold everything. Car, house, tournament medals borrowed from friends. After she died, I couldn't face the circuit. Couldn't face their concerns when my world had collapsed." Harlan nodded, silently filling the spaces between words. "The debt followed like a shadow," Elliot continued. "I worked construction, security, anything. But the economy crashed, and here I am." He straightened, meeting Harlan's gaze. "Now?" Harlan asked. "Now I'm here." "For how long?" "I don't know." Harlan's voice was simple, firm. "Stay. Help me teach. Not just beginners, all of them. They can learn from you." Elliot hesitated. "Some of your clients might complain." Before Harlan could respond, the door chimed again. Jennifer Adams, Leo's mother, stepped in, determined. "Mr. Harlan, I need to talk to you." She froze, eyes widening in surprise as she saw Elliot. "Mrs. Adams," Harlan greeted calmly. "You know Mr. Ray. He'll be helping out around the dojo." Jennifer extended her hand, awed. "Leo hasn't stopped talking about your demonstration yesterday. He says, you're the best he's ever seen." Elliot shook Jennifer's hand, a faint spark of surprise flashing in his eyes at the gesture. He's a good kid. Polite. Respectful. That says a lot about his parents. Jennifer hesitated, searching for the right word. Some of the other parents, they're not as open-minded. There's a petition circulating, and someone already contacted the Herald. Harlan exhaled slowly. I expected as much. I should go, Elliot murmured quietly, but Jennifer's tone stopped him. No, you shouldn't. Leo has gained more confidence in a week than he did in months of lessons. He told me how you helped him adjust his stance quietly, without making him feel foolish for asking. I'll speak to the other parents. Some will listen. Harlan gave a small, grateful smile. Jennifer shrugged, determined. And the others? They'll come around once they see their children improving under Mr. Ray's instruction. After she left, Elliot and Harlan lingered in silence, each lost in thought. Looks like you've got at least one supporter, Harlan said finally. One is more than I had a week ago, Elliot replied, the ghost of a smile touching his lips. The next afternoon, a sleek silver sedan pulled into the dojo lot. A young woman stepped out, her blazer crisp, notebook in hand, eyes sharp and searching, hunger for a story in every glance. Megan Taylor, 26, had been with the Herald for nearly a year, enough to know a human interest story could make a career. A fallen champion, controversy, redemption. The perfect story if it played right. Inside, Harlan led a class of teenagers through drills, while Elliot moved quietly beside Leo, demonstrating a technique with gentle authority. Keep your weight centered, he said, adjusting the boy's stance. Power comes from balance, not just strength. Megan observed, impressed by the natural command in his movements. Earned, not forced. The contrast between his worn appearance and fluid precision was stark. After class, Harlan introduced them. Elliot, this is Megan Taylor from the Herald. She'd like to interview you. Weariness replaced the calm focus in Elliot's eyes. I'm not interested in being a story, Ms. Taylor. Megan leaned in slightly. People are already talking. Wouldn't you rather they hear the truth from you than speculation from others? Elliot considered briefly, then nodded once. No photographs, he added. They settled in Harlan's office, the door left ajar. Megan positioned her recorder between them. Let's start with the obvious question, she began. How does a national champion end up homeless? Elliot's tone was even, almost detached. One loss at a time. He outlined his journey, competitions, his wife's illness, crushing debt. Facts delivered plainly, without self-pity or theatrics, as if reading a weather report. Do you want people to feel sorry for you? Megan asked bluntly. No, pity changes nothing, he replied immediately. Then what do you want? She caught him off guard. He paused, dignity in every breath. Respect. Recognition for the choices I make, the skills I still have. The same thing anyone wants. Megan softened, understanding. Some parents worry about your situation, having their children taught by someone who's been homeless. Elliot's voice stayed steady. Their concern is natural. I would worry too. All I can offer is my knowledge and my word that no child will come to harm. And those who say you're exploiting the situation? Megan pressed. A controlled flash of anger crossed his face, quickly subdued. Judgment is easy for those who've never needed help. Megan nodded, scribbling each word. One final question. What do you hope to achieve here? Elliot's gaze drifted toward Leo, practicing the move he had learned. Second chances are rare, he said softly. I'm just trying not to waste mine. Meanwhile, life at the dojo began to settle into a new rhythm. Elliot taught beginners with patience, earning praise from most parents and students. Not all were convinced. I don't understand how you can allow this, Mark Wilson, Travis's father, confronted Harlan. The man was living behind your dumpster. Now he's teaching? Harlan's calm reply cut through the tension. He's a certified instructor, with more tournament experience than anyone in this county. Mark's voice lowered, but remained sharp. That was 20 years ago. My son says he disappeared for 3 days last week. Where did he go? What was he doing? Did you even check his background? Across the dojo, Travis watched uncomfortably. Elliot's skills were undeniable, the mastery he aspired to, yet admitting it meant swallowing his earlier mockery. Leo, clinging to Elliot like a shadow, absorbed every correction, every nuance. Younger students followed, forming a small, devoted group. After hours, Elliot trained alone, moving through advanced katas with a quiet intensity, meditation disguised as motion, processing emotions too complex for words. One evening, Harlan stayed late, watching from the doorway as Elliot executed. A difficult sequence. "You're holding back when you teach," Harlan observed. "Why?" Elliot finished the form before replying. "They're not ready. Some are, Travis, for instance. Talent and anger, dangerous together." Harlan nodded. "He's trying to figure you out. They all are." He paused, a hint of mischief in his tone. "Did you know we have a board-breaking record here? 8 stacked pine boards. Untouched for 12 years. Elliot raised an eyebrow. "Your point?" Harlan smiled slightly. "Sometimes people need something tangible, something they can see and hear. Breaking boards isn't about strength. It's focus, commitment, follow through. Just something to think about." As Harlan turned to leave, Elliot called after him. "Whose record is it?" "The 8 boards." "Mine," Harlan replied simply. Elliot nodded quietly, returning to his kata with a newfound intensity, the memory of Harlan's words lingering. The Herald article appeared that Sunday, its headline bold: "From Champion to Homeless, a Masters. Return to the mat." Megan had approached the story with care, focusing on Elliot's journey without sensationalism, highlighting his teaching style, the respect he showed each student, and including glowing remarks from Leo and Jennifer about his impact. The piece acknowledged controversy, Mark Wilson's concerns, Harlan's defenses, but the overall tone leaned toward a community tentatively embracing change. Sitting on the dojo steps that morning, Elliot held the newspaper, a strange mix of emotions playing across his face. The story was fairer than he'd expected, yet seeing his life laid bare in ink made him feel uncharacteristically exposed. "Is it weird?" Leo asked, plopping down beside him. "Seeing yourself in the paper?" Elliot folded the sheet carefully, a small smile forming. "A little." Leo swung his legs, eyes bright. "Mom says you're famous now. She says more people will come to learn from you." "Maybe," Elliot said softly. "Can you teach me to break boards?" Leo asked suddenly, his voice tinged with excitement. Elliot studied him, measuring the boy's eagerness. "Breaking isn't about strength, Leo, it's about focus, seeing through the obstacle, not at it, like when you're scared of something." For the first time in weeks, a genuine smile spread across Elliot's face, transforming his features. "Exactly like that," Leo said, his eyes sparkling. "Will you try to break Mr. Harlan's record someday?" The question lingered as morning students began trickling in. Elliot rose, offering Leo a hand. "Some records exist to inspire, not to be broken." Later, when the dojo emptied, Elliot approached the stacked boards in the equipment room, thoughtful. The article had changed everything. Within days, class sizes had doubled. Parents from across town arrived, some drawn by genuine interest, others by curiosity or gossip. Elliot remained unshaken, focusing on teaching, letting whispers slide around him like wind. Harlan adjusted the schedule, placing Elliot in charge of most beginner and intermediate sessions to handle the influx. One afternoon, Elliot demonstrated a defensive maneuver to a crowded class when he noticed a camera phone pointed at him from the viewing area. A flicker of emotions crossed his face: discomfort, resignation, then steely determination. He continued the lesson without acknowledgement. Later, Harlan found him in the back room, phone in hand, expression troubled. "Everything okay?" he asked quietly. Elliot held it out. On the screen was a social media post, a video of Elliot teaching, already viral, comments ranging from admiration to cruel mockery. "It'll pass," Harlan said reassuringly. But it didn't. More videos appeared. Local. TV stations requested interviews. A sports network producer left a message about a possible documentary. Through it all, Elliot maintained his rhythm. Teaching, training, helping around the dojo. He declined interviews, avoided cameras, retreated to the sparsely furnished back room that had become his sanctuary. One evening, as he organized equipment, Travis entered quietly. The two had kept distance since Elliot's demonstration, with Travis attending advanced classes rather than Elliot's. "Need something?" Elliot asked, not looking up. Travis shifted uneasily. "My dad. He's rallying parents against you being here." Elliot nodded calmly. "I know. He says you got kicked out of competition, that you were violent." Travis hesitated. "Is that true?" Elliot put down the training pads. "No." Travis's brow furrowed. "Then why'd you disappear? You were at the top." Elliot studied him. "Sometimes life gives different priorities." He glanced at Travis, then abruptly corrected the boy's stance. "Your reverse punch has power, but you drop your guard when you execute it. Tomorrow, 6 a.m. before regular class, I'll show you how to fix it." Returning to his task, Elliot ended the conversation. Travis lingered a moment, confusion etched across his face, then left. The next morning, Travis arrived promptly at 6. They trained for an hour, technique, form, corrections given without judgment. By the end, Travis's punches were sharper, his guard steadier. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, wiping sweat from his brow. "I was a jerk to you." "You were," Elliot admitted evenly, "but potential matters more than past mistakes, true for all of us." Before Travis could respond, his father entered, stopping short at the sight of them training. "Travis, what are you doing here?" Mark demanded. "Training, Dad. Mr. Ray is helping my reverse punch." Mark's face darkened. "Get your things. We're leaving." Tension filled the room as Travis gathered his gear, shooting a brief, apologetic glance at Elliot before following his father. Through the window, Elliot watched them argue, Mark gesturing, Travis defensive, a familiar bitterness settling over him. Later that day, Harlan called a staff meeting. In reality, it was just coffee in his office. "I have an idea," he began. "A fundraiser, Dojo Challenge Day, public demonstrations, competitions, proceeds to the West Side Shelter." Elliot raised an eyebrow. "The shelter I stayed at, sometimes?" "Exactly. It's good PR, helps a cause, legitimizes my presence here." Elliot considered it, glancing at Harlan's notes. "Board-breaking exhibition? People love it. Visual, exciting." Harlan paused. "Maybe you'll attempt the record? My record?" Elliot shrugged. "Just a number." Before discussion could continue, Leo burst in, excitement radiating. "Mr. Ray, Mom says I can join the demonstration team if you think I'm ready." The mood shifted instantly. Elliot smiled at the boy's energy. "We'll work on your form first. Let's see what you've got." As they moved to the floor, Harlan watched quietly. The fundraiser idea had taken root, sponsors lined up, media coverage promised, even the mayor interested. But no one foresaw just how quickly the plan might spiral. 3 days before the fundraiser, Travis approached Elliot after class, unease etched across his face. "My dad found some old videos of you," he said without preamble. "From a tournament in 2005, he's showing them to the other parents." Elliot's expression remained calm, unreadable. "What videos? You fighting someone?" Travis hesitated. "It got really intense. You broke his arm." Silence hung between them, heavy and unspoken. "Tournament fighting has consequences," Elliot finally said. "Injuries happen. He's saying you did it on purpose, that you got disqualified." Elliot closed his eyes briefly, recalling the past. "The match was reviewed by officials. I was cleared of intentional misconduct, but yes, disqualified from that event." "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Travis pressed. "Because it doesn't matter anymore." Elliot's voice sharpened, rare edge cutting through his usual calm. "It was 20 years ago, but it did matter." By the next day, the whispers had escalated into open concern. Parents pulled their children from classes, fear and gossip spreading like wildfire. Someone had edited the old footage, looping the moment of injury out of context. Mark Wilson's campaign had been well organized. By evening, half the students had canceled their attendance at the fundraiser. Local businesses began withdrawing sponsorships. And then, the final blow. Graffiti sprayed across the dojo door. "Bums don't belong here." Elliot stood silently as Harlan photographed the vandalism for the police report, his posture subtly contracting, the first hint of withdrawal. "This doesn't change anything," Harlan insisted, though the tremor in his voice betrayed doubt. "We'll still hold the fundraiser. People will see the truth." Elliot shook his head slowly. "I've brought trouble to your door, literally." He gestured toward the graffiti. "You've been good to me, James. Better than anyone has in years. I won't repay that by damaging what you've built. So, you're just going to leave? Let them win?" Harlan's frustration was raw. Elliot's voice was quiet, but resolute. "Sometimes walking away takes more strength than staying to fight." That night, storm clouds rolled over the city, mirroring the mood inside the dojo. Elliot packed his few belongings into his backpack, leaving the borrowed clothes folded neatly on the cot. On top, he placed a handwritten note for Harlan. As rain began to fall, he slipped out the back door, disappearing into the darkness, the weight of failure settling heavily on his shoulders. Morning brought no relief from the storm. Harlan arrived early, already sensing what he would find. The back room was empty. The note on the cot was simple, direct. "Thank you for believing in me. Some debts can't be repaid, but I'll try. The students deserve better than controversy." Harlan crumpled it in his fist, a mixture of anger and disappointment shadowing his features. Outside, volunteers worked in the rain, determined despite dampened spirits. Leo arrived with Jennifer, scanning for Elliot. "Where's Mr. Ray?" he asked, worry etched in every line of his small face. "He promised to help me with my demonstration." Harlan knelt, matching the boy's gaze. "Elliot had to leave. For a while, Leo. I'm not sure when he'll be back." "But he has to come," Leo insisted, eyes brimming with certainty. "He promised. He's supposed to break the boards." Jennifer placed a comforting hand on her son's shoulder. "Sometimes people have to leave, even when they don't want to." Leo's expression hardened. "He'll come back. I know it. He wouldn't leave without saying goodbye." As the day progressed, rain continued to lash the dojo. Attendance was sparse. Local news crews arrived, but the focus had shifted from inspiration to controversy. Mark Wilson gave interviews outside, framing the story in terms of community standards and proper role models. Inside, Harlan went through the motions, leading demonstrations for the students who had remained loyal. The board-breaking exhibition was first postponed, then canceled, as rain leaked through the roof and damaged equipment. By evening, the fundraiser had failed. Volunteers packed up early, faces grim. "He's not coming, is he?" Leo asked, small voice trembling. Hope fading. Harlan looked out at the rain-soaked parking lot. "I don't think so, buddy." "It's not fair," Leo whispered. "He was good. He helped everyone." Harlan's voice was bitter, carrying the weight of truth. Life isn't always fair. Sometimes the people who deserve a second chance don't get one. As they turned to go inside, headlights swept across the lot. A taxi pulled up, and a figure emerged, soaked from the rain, shoulders squared with determination. Leo broke into a run. "Mr. Ray, you came back!" Elliot caught him in a one-armed hug, his expression softening. "I made a promise." Harlan approached more slowly, questioning silently. "I came for the boy," Elliot said simply, "and for myself." His eyes scanned the nearly empty dojo, abandoned fundraiser setup, nodding once, accepting the situation without a word. "We still have the boards," Harlan said. A faint smile touched Elliot's lips. "Let's give them something to remember." Together they stepped inside, the rain easing, clouds parting to reveal the first stars of evening, tiny points of light in the darkness, persistent, unwavering. The next morning dawned bright and clear, as if the world itself had granted a fresh start. Inside the dojo, Harlan and a small group of volunteers worked quickly to salvage the event. Tables were dried, equipment checked, and a makeshift schedule drawn. Jennifer helped Leo arrange chairs in front of the demonstration area. "You really think people will come back?" she asked. Harlan glanced toward the back room where Elliot changed into a clean GI. "They will. Trust me." The doubt in Jennifer's eyes was faint but unmistakable. She nodded, turning back to her task with renewed determination, steadying herself for the day ahead. In the back room, Elliot faced a small mirror, adjusting the crisp white GI that felt at once foreign and familiar against his skin. Years had passed since he last wore a proper uniform. The fabric carried weight, not just in threads, but in memory, in meaning. His fingers brushed along the worn black belt Harlan had lent him, tracing frayed edges that whispered decades of dedication. A soft knock pulled him from his thoughts. "People are starting to arrive," Harlan said, leaning casually against the doorframe. "More than I expected." Elliot nodded, tightening the belt with careful practice motions. "Thank you for this," he said quietly. "Whatever happens today, thank you." Harlan studied him, then allowed a small smile. "You ready to break some boards?" Elliot's lips curved faintly. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves." As they stepped onto the main floor, the murmur of voices grew. Curious, excited, skeptical. Word of Elliot's return had spread overnight, drawing an unexpected crowd despite the previous day's setbacks. Elliot paused, momentarily taken, aback by the sheer number of faces. Parents, students, community members, even a few familiar from nights spent at the shelter. Near the back, a local news crew adjusted cameras, while Megan from the Herald scribbled notes in the front row. "There he is," someone whispered. "The homeless karate guy." Leo broke free from his mother and ran to Elliot's side. "I told them you'd come back," he said, chest puffed with pride. "Nobody believed me, but I knew." Elliot placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder, drawing unexpected strength from his unwavering faith. At precisely 10 a.m., Harlan moved to the center of the mat, raising his hands. Gradually, murmurs faded. "Thank you all for coming to our rescheduled Dojo Challenge Day," he began, voice clear and steady. "As many of you know, yesterday didn't go as planned." A few sympathetic chuckles rippled through the crowd. "But sometimes life's greatest lessons come from our biggest challenges." Harlan gestured toward Elliot, who stood tall and composed, facing the scrutiny of dozens of eyes. "I'd like to introduce, or reintroduce, someone special. Many of you know him from the newspaper article or viral videos. Some of you have already benefited from his instruction. But I want you to know him as I do, not as a homeless man, though circumstances brought him there, but as a veteran, a national champion, and a teacher. Life sent him to us when we weren't ready to listen." Murmurs ran through the crowd, a mix of approval and unease. "Today, Elliot Ray will demonstrate what decades of dedication look like, not for glory, not for attention, but to remind us all that human worth is not measured by clothes or bank accounts. Elliot stepped forward, bowing deeply, first to Harlan, then the audience, then the space itself, honoring the art. Silence fell as he began a complex kata, each movement fluid, precise, and impossibly graceful. This wasn't just technical perfection. It was storytelling through motion, struggle, perseverance, resilience, all etched into every form. When the final movement ended, there was a heartbeat of stillness before applause broke out, hesitant at first, then swelling in confidence. Voice cut sharply from the back. "That's all very pretty," Travis said, stepping onto the mat. "But kata is just choreography, right? You said real martial arts is about application." Harlan started to intervene, but Elliot raised a hand. "You're right," he said calmly. "Would you like to demonstrate with me?" Travis's face shifted through a complex storm. Determination, nerves, and a budding respect. "Light contact only," Harlan cautioned, and the two took their positions. What followed was unexpected. Rather than confrontation, it became an impromptu lesson. Elliot called out techniques. Travis executed them, learning, adjusting, growing. Elliot blocked, redirected, and demonstrated counters at reduced speed, the session collaborative, not competitive. After several minutes, Travis, breathing hard but energized, turned to the audience. "Mr. Ray has been helping me refine my techniques," he announced, surprising his peers. "Everyone here can learn from him, even those who thought they already knew it all." A roguish smile punctuated his words, drawing laughter and applause. The demonstrations continued. Younger students performed forms learned under Elliot's guidance. Jennifer led a self-defense workshop for parents, and Elliot moved between groups, quietly instructing, encouraging, inspiring. By early afternoon, energy had transformed. Skepticism melted into curiosity and genuine admiration. Donation boxes for the shelter filled steadily as attendees browsed silent auction items and signed up for special workshops. Then someone from the crowd shouted, "What about the board-breaking record? Is that still happening?" All eyes turned to Harlan, who explained, "The record stands at 8 boards, set 12 years ago, a test of focus and power, pine boards, 1 inch thick, stacked together." Interest stirred. "Is he going to try it?" The voice pressed again. Elliot stepped forward, calm. "If it will help raise funds for the shelter, yes." A ripple of excitement coursed through the crowd. People who had been leaving returned to their seats, cameras repositioned. Even Mark Wilson edged closer, curiosity outweighing disdain. Harlan and Travis prepared the breaking stand, while Leo approached Elliot with a bottle of water. "Are you nervous?" the boy asked. Elliot sipped before answering. "Respect the challenge, but don't fear it. That's the balance." Leo nodded solemnly. "Like when I was afraid to try the flying kick and you said the ground would still be there either way." Elliot smiled, genuine and rare. Exactly like that. Harlan placed 8 boards in the stand, then looked to Elliot. "This is the record. Want to warm up with fewer first?" Elliot shook his head. "No. I'd like to try 9. A hush fell. Harlan raised an eyebrow but added a 9th board, 9 1-inch pine boards, a feat few could accomplish. Elliot positioned himself, the room so quiet the air conditioner sounded loud. Eyes closed, he centered himself. Those watching saw not the homeless man, but a martial artist fully present, composed, poised. With deliberate precision, Elliot raised his right arm for a downward elbow strike. He inhaled deeply, held, then suddenly opened his eyes. "Wait," he said. "One more." A ripple of surprise passed through the crowd. Harlan, after a beat, added a 10th board. 10 boards. No one has ever attempted this here. Elliot resumed his stance, closing his eyes, drawing a final breath. The room collectively held its breath, the air taut with anticipation. Then it happened. A blur of power, elbow driving down with a controlled key shout from his core. Crack. The sound exploded through the silence. Board split perfectly in halves. The room erupted, cheers, applause, shouts of wonder. Leo's voice rose above all. "He did it! He broke them all!"